The best cycling workouts that you need to be using for motocross. Welcome back to another live stream, guys. Two things that you need to know when you're using cycling to try and build your riding and racing fitness. And some of you might not know that there's two ways to be able to build fitness and two main energy systems that we need to focus on. So when you go on a ride, so if we take, say, a 20-minute motocross event, okay, a 20-minute motocross race, there's two things that are happening in that 20 minutes. First thing that's happening is we're riding for 20 minutes. Okay, so your body is consistently moving in some form of another at some level of intensity for a 20-minute period. So we've got to make sure your body's got enough endurance to be able to go for 20 minutes. But then if we narrow down into that 20 minutes, it's broken down with high intensity parts and lower intensity parts. So what I mean by this is if you look at, say, a whole heap of braking bumps, a whole heap of braking bumps take a lot of effort. Okay, it's very physically intense. The bike's trying to kick you off. Okay, you're trying to stand on the bike. You've got your elbows up. You're standing up on the pegs. It's quite demanding. Okay, same with like a sandy whoop section where you're really fighting or really battling the bike. Compare that to like going down the main straight for a lot of tracks. Okay, you can sit down, you can hold it flat out. It might be quite fast, but you're not really expending too much energy. Okay, that's your rest period during the lap. So every single lap that we do, the intensity is going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because different parts of the track demand different levels of effort from our body. So we also have to train for these short, sharp bursts of high intensity activity. Okay, so when you're going through like a really tough whoop section, your body's giving it 100%. You're putting in a lot of effort. Okay, then followed by a quick break when you go around the corner or you go onto the main straight or whatever the next section is. So we've got to train two areas. We've got to train for 20 minutes, and we've also got to train for those short, sharp bursts of high intensity. And so the way that we do that using a cycling bike, first of all, we want to train your aerobic energy system, which is your 20-minute energy system, your long distance endurance energy system. And so the way that you would do that on a cycling bike is doing longer rides. Okay, going for a ride for 20 minutes, half an hour. Okay, you could even do longer rides. You could go up to an hour if you wanted to, 45 minutes or an hour. But the whole goal is it's what is called a steady state cardio. It's just consistent movement, consistently ticking over the pedals for a long period of time. Okay, 20-minute, half-hour period. Consistent intensity, relatively flat land. Okay, a little bit uphill, a little bit of downhill, but nothing too extreme. That's going to make sure we've got our aerobic system sorted and we're going to be good for 20 minutes on race day. The other part that we've got to work on is the anaerobic energy system, which is our high intensity energy system. So this is the energy system that you use when you're going through a really, really tough whoop section and it's demanding absolutely everything of your body. So the way that you would train that system on the cycling bike is you would use interval training. So for example, you could use hill sprints. So find a really steep hill, okay? Let's say it takes you a minute to get to the top of the hill. You start at the bottom, sprint to the top of the hill as hard as you possibly can, like you're going through a really tough whoop section. Give it absolutely everything you've got. Get to the top, turn around, come back to the bottom, rest for a minute, and then you can repeat that. Okay, and depending on your level of fitness, you can repeat that for 10 rounds, 15 rounds, 20 rounds. The whole goal with the interval training though, is you don't do intervals for 45 minutes. Okay, you don't do intervals for an hour. The whole goal is we want to work on hey Fabian, the whole goal is we want to work on elevating your intensity. Okay, so that's why the intervals are great, and that's why we have the rest periods in between each interval, because the rest periods allow you to go harder in the next round. So the long distance stuff is save that for your endurance paces, save that for your aerobic paces, your 20-minute, half-hour cycles. For the interval training, they should last anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes. Okay, anything longer than that, and then you're not really working on intensity in intervals. The intensity starts to drop right off. So that's how you train both of those energy systems using a cycling bike. A common mistake that I see here, guys, is a lot of riders will just do longer distance cycling. They really neglect the higher intensity stuff. They go, okay, I'm racing for 20 minutes, so if I go and cycle for an hour a few times a week, then that should cover it. And then they get to race day like I did, and then still struggle on race day. And the reason that you struggle on race day is because the intensity is different. When you go and race on the weekend, you're not just operating at a consistent intensity for half an hour or an hour. You've got those parts which are very intense, followed by a bit of rest. Very intense, followed by rest. And we're constantly flicking backwards and forwards. So that's how you train for cycling. Hey Dylan, that's how you use cycling to be able to help with your riding and racing. Quite simple, not easy, but it definitely is simple. So the way that you would break that up during the week, make sure I can see my screen okay. What's not going on here? The way that I would break that up during the week, okay, is you could do 1 or 2 longer distance rides and then 1 or 2 interval training rides. So the riders that I work with and the way that I structure our programming with our riders is we will do our interval work and our short, sharp stuff during the week, okay, with our gym work because it's shorter and it's easier to do and easier to monitor in a gym environment or, on a cycle bike or on a rowing machine. And then we'll do the longer distance stuff then out on the bike. So that way we can maximize bike time and we can also build our aerobic energy system as well. So that's really it, guys. Again, it is quite simple, not necessarily easy, but simple. If you would like some help building up your cardio fitness specifically for riding and racing, send me a private message now. Let me know what you're working towards with your riding, and I'll see if I can help or not. But otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will chat to you guys soon. See ya.